It's so easy to get blinded by the glitz of the red carpet. But in this explainer, we're going to go behind the scenes to uncover the tragic price of fame, looking at some of Hollywood's most heartbreaking stories. So let's just get right to it and ask the big question that really hangs over all of Hollywood. For some of its brightest stars, what is the ultimate cost of their celebrity? From the outside, we see the glamour, right? We see all the success and the worldwide fame. It's a life that just seems perfect. But then you pull back the curtain, and so often there's this story of immense personal tragedy, and it frequently begins with a common, truly devastating pattern. So one of the most common and honestly heartbreaking patterns you see over and over again is this struggle with addiction, a battle so many stars fought right in the public eye. And when you just look at these names, the pattern is devastating. Brilliant talents, iconic roles, and lives cut tragically short. It stretches from stars like Judy Garland, who was really exploited by that old studio system, all the way to modern masters like Heath Ledger and Philip Seymour Hoffman. For so many of them, it seems like the intense pressure of fame just fueled their personal demons.
And you have to remember, behind these statistics are real people, profound personal losses. Adam Sandler's simple tribute to Chris Farley, the funniest man I ever knew, just cuts right through all the noise. It reminds us of the incredible, vibrant person behind that persona, a talent that was ultimately overshadowed by an addiction that ended his life at just 33.
And this number? 20. 20 years. It just goes to show you the terrifying, lifelong nature of this battle. This wasn't a single event. It was a constant struggle. Philip Seymour Hoffman, one of the greatest actors of his generation, managed to stay sober for 2 whole decades before a fatal relapse. It is a chilling reminder that for some, the shadow of addiction never truly goes away. Okay, so addiction is one piece of the puzzle. But, not all of these tragedies were these slow, drawn-out battles. Sometimes the end was just sudden and shocking. A violent event that left the world reeling and reminds all of us that fame offers absolutely no protection from fate. And this one, wow. The parallel tragedies of martial arts legend Bruce Lee and his son Brandon they're particularly haunting, aren't they? Both were these rising stars, both died right in the middle of their film careers under these shocking circumstances, leaving behind this whole legacy of what-ifs and an eerie family curse narrative. And then you have these shocking accidents that are filled with this cruel, almost unbelievable sense of irony. James Dean, Hollywood's ultimate rebel without a cause, and Paul Walker, the face of the Fast and Furious franchise. Both were icons whose lives were tragically cut short by the very same high-speed culture they represented on screen. These stories are just such stark reminders of how fragile life can be. A faulty gear shift in a car ended Anton Yelchin's promising career. A single stray match on a film set was a death sentence for Martha Mansfield. And in a final absolutely heroic act, Naya Rivera used her last ounce of strength to save her son. It's just proof that a person's entire life trajectory can be shattered in one unpredictable moment.
And then, of course, there are the deaths that remain shrouded in mystery, and maybe none more so than Natalie Wood's. The known facts are just disturbing and contradictory. A weekend yacht trip, a big argument, and then her body is found floating in the water covered in bruises. Decades later, her death is still classified as suspicious, leaving behind a legacy of unanswered questions instead of any real closure.
So we've talked about addiction and these sudden, tragic accidents. But there's another powerful force at play here: the immense pressure of the industry itself, which can make hidden battles with physical and mental illness so much worse. Jean Harlow's story, it's just such a damning look at the old studio system. She was one of the biggest stars of the 1930s. Her health should have been the top priority. But when she got gravely ill, the studio actually pressured her to keep working, valuing its production schedule over her actual life. By the time they finally took her condition seriously, it was just too late. She died from a preventable kidney failure at just 26 years old. And while some stars fought their battles in the public eye, so many others fought them completely in private. Chadwick Boseman delivered those iconic performances as Black Panther while he was secretly battling colon cancer. Anthony Perkins, forever known as Norman Bates, hid his AIDS diagnosis during an era of intense prejudice. And Susan Peters, paralyzed after a hunting accident, was basically cast aside by the industry, which led to a depression that ultimately took her life.
And this really reveals a crucial point, right? The story we think we know is often incomplete. When Robin Williams died, the whole narrative was about suicide and depression, but the autopsy revealed a hidden, devastating truth. He was suffering from Lewy body dementia, a terrifying neurological disease that attacks the mind. And that discovery completely changes the context of his final, desperate struggle.
Okay, so we've looked at all these different patterns of tragedy. What does it all mean? What are we supposed to take away from these stories? What do they tell us about fame and, maybe about ourselves? Well, when you start connecting the dots, you see these common threads start to pop up. These aren't just isolated incidents. They're stories that expose the human cost of the celebrity machine, the constant pressure to perform, the profound isolation that comes with fame, and that ever-present danger of addiction. It all shows that fame can be as much a curse as a blessing, and it tragically shapes these incredible legacies. And that really brings us to a final and, I think, crucial question for us to think about. Why are we so drawn to these tragedies? Do we see them as cautionary tales about the dangers of fame? Or is our fascination just a form of dark entertainment? It's something to think about. Thanks so much for joining this explainer.